Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Open Table Guest Center Book Configuration Training class. My name is Tony. I will be your trainer today. Before I begin, I want to make sure we get everyone signed in. So we're going to wait a couple minutes and then we'll go ahead and start the training session. So hang on tight. We will start very shortly. Thank you. Those of you that are just joining us, we're just waiting for another maybe 30 seconds or 45 seconds or so. To make sure we get everyone logged in, and then we'll go ahead and kickstart the training session. So hang on tight. Be right back. All right, let's go ahead and kickstart the training session. Those of you that just joined us, my name is Tony Liu. I am your trainer. Gonna go over Guest Center book configuration training. We're gonna go over a lot of the how to create your tables, how to create your schedules, and configure your books according to how you want it to set to your restaurant. All right. Any questions throughout the training session, please use the questions pane. I'll be happy to answer any of those questions that you have, especially anything that's pertaining to your particular restaurant. Go ahead and type it into the questions pane. I'll be happy to answer those for you. All right, cool. I'm gonna go over, and this is a real life demo of an actual actual demo account. So I wanted to make sure that you guys see this. So this right here, all right, I'm just gonna pull this baby out of here, and then perfect. So your guest center system, when you first log into your configuration to the guest center web login on the desktop, that's where you get into it, otherwise known as, let's see real quick, guestcenter.opentable.com. That's where you get into it, right? If you've never logged into it, you definitely need an account to log in. Make sure you have the person that has access to the administrative side to create an account for you, and then you can access this account anywhere you like, as long as you have a desktop and you have internet access and in a browser. All right, when you first log in, I'm gonna shorten that baby out of here. So this right here is login. This is the home page when you first log into the Guest Center web. In the top left-hand corner, the main thing we're gonna touch on today is the availability planning. The front of the house is I'm gonna go over this quickly just to kind of show you some of the things you can do in the back end, similar to what you can do in the front of the house. So very similar to what you see on the iPad, but again, this is really used for back-end functionality. So if you're in the back office or you're outside of your restaurant and you're at home and you want to make a reservation, you can log into Guest Center anytime on the browser to take a reservation or manage some of the reservations that you have. So there's buttons on the right-hand side, top right-hand corner. Similar to the iPad, you have the book button, you have the clipboard button for walk-ins, which you're probably not going to use on the desktop. You have the little notepad button if you ever want to add a note for your host staff, and you would need to communicate some information about something to your staff and you're not at a restaurant. You can do so by just adding a note, and you can decide what you want to add, special events or general note for the staff. You can say, okay, general note, to-do items, right? For to-do items, and then you can write your description of what you want to do here, and then like host staff, servers, bussers, go ahead and write all that stuff. If you want it for all day to appear, you can check all day. If it's just going to be for a specific shift, then uncheck that, and then you can decide which shift you want to add it for. Actually, we're at lunch shift right now. You hit add, and you add it to the lunch shift for today's lunch shift. All right, you can edit it if you need to. This way, if anytime they're on their iPad, they can be able to access that information at any time they like, and they'll be able to see that information that you wrote for them. All right, you can delete it if you need to. Boom, that's gone. There's also a search area here for a guest if you want to look for a customer in your reservation book or upcoming reservations. You can do so here by typing a name. You can say Smith. All right, any reservations? Just Mr. John Smith and George Smith. I don't have any upcoming reservations. If I do, you'll see a date kind of populate in between the name and the little book button. You can even directly make reservations from this page here as well. Hit John Smith, make that little book button, and continue with the booking flow of that reservation. All right, so that's one of the cool things you can do on here. Other things you can do on here that I want to make sure I show you, you can actually look at the shift overview section here, and it gives you a lot of information about your shift. It breaks down your total parties that you have, and then actually compares it for the last 4-week trend. Also looking at your total covers out of those parties, comparing it to last 4 weeks, or even comparing it to previous year. So you can look at the information here, compare it to this year from last year, and so forth. And in short-term notice reservations, you can see that less than 3 hours booked walk-in covers, as well as POS information. If you have any POS integration with OpenTable, you'll see that information stipulated on the shift overview section inside GuestCenter Web. You won't be able to see this shift overview on the iPad, so this is one unique item features that you can only see on the GuestCenter Web. Okay, kind of like analytical stuff, looking at the actual parties based on the full entire lunch shift, 11 a.m. all the way through to 4:30. You can see the peaks and valleys of your parties, and then also peaks and valleys for your cover counts. Okay. The entire cover counts, as well as occupancy rate, seeing how you compare the entire occupancy of your entire covers throughout the whole shift. This is strictly by parties, by covers, and you're pretty much by total occupancy right here. So that's the shift overview section. I want to make sure that you guys get to click on that and actually understand what your shift is all about here, so you can kind of veer away from what you need to do. Cancel covers, no-show covers will be all listed here as well. So any type of reservations, information about your shift will be listed in this section here. The printable reservation list, this is something that if you like to have a hard copy of some of the reservations that you have on the list view, just in case your iPad goes dead or you lose battery, you don't have a charger, you want to have a backup copy, you can have a printable reservation list here as a function. Once you have information, you can print that out. I don't have the print feature is not here because I don't show any information here. But once you have a reservation in here, you'll be able to see the print out here. In fact, let's just go ahead and quickly book one real quick so you can kind of see what it looks like for lunchtime. Let's say it's 12 o'clock. We already passed our lunch. Don Julio is a good name to use. And I got a reservation. So if you go to the printable list, you can see that information. Don Julio is here. You can see all the notes in here. Export it out or print it out. That function is now appearing on the printable reservation lists. Another cool feature in here is guest books. You can actually search for somebody. So let's say Don Julio. You can see, okay, Don. You can hit that information and edit their guest information here. Add notes, check out their visit history, upcoming reservations will be listed in here. make a reservation directly from this page as well. So there's other avenues to make reservations. You can do that. All right, and now if you go back to the little source area, that little search area here, if I put Don Julio, you'll see that reservation is upcoming October 22nd at 12 p.m. All right. So those are a couple of the unique features that are on GuestCenter Web that I wanted to show you for front of the house stuff that you can do in the back or anywhere else that you want to be able to access if you're outside. If you don't have an iPad in front of you, you can use this. You can use the desktop version to kind of manage some of the reservations, right? Same thing is here, updating reservations, statuses, as well as adding tags, update party sizes, changing it to a different day. It could be all done in this section here. All right, any questions on that before we kind of jump into the main section of what we're going to talk about today, called the availability planning area? This is right here was where you set up your books. This is the kind of like the holy grail of your GuestCenter Web, is where you go in there and configure your reservation book. It says, welcome back. These are some disclaimers of what you're going to do here. If you make any changes, make sure you publish it and you hit continue. So there's a bunch of sections in here, right? There's a floor plan, table combinations, reservation settings, schedule, special days, and then the last thing is called publish. I actually published this today, so you'll see the last fainted date here of when you last published it. If you haven't published it for a month, 2 months, a year, then you know the last time it's been changed has been based on this particular date here. All right, so there's 5 sections in here before you hit publish. There's any little things that you do slightly for, you're going to need to publish it, because all these changes that you make here is going to be localized here. And if you ever need to finish up some updates in here, maybe after you get back home, you can do so by coming back into it and then making the changes again and then publish it. So these settings will automatically hold. So make sure you understand that localized saving will automatically save. So anytime you make changes here, I'm in the floor plan area here. So if you ever want to make changes to your tables, your table arrangements, or different table floor plans that you have, you can do so here. There's 2 floor plans that I have in this section. You can add up to 12 floor plans, and the 12 floor plans will allow you to update some tables here. So I have a master main floor plan here, and I also have a patio floor plan. You can create a brand new floor plan if you want by hitting the add button. When you hit the add button, you label it, what you want to make this for. Maybe you wanted to make it for a private dining room or something like that, okay? PDR or something you want to label, okay? You hit add. Basically, we're creating a brand new floor plan called private dining room, and this is the grid for that. You see a bottom right hand corner square. You can increase the grid if you have a lot of tables, decrease if you don't have that many tables. And these elements here on the left hand side is where you go in and click to create those tables out. Anytime you click one, it'll populate one on here. So, and then on the right hand side, each one of these tables that you put out, you'll see here called table properties. Every single table is available to be able to configure with their settings. One thing you can do, update the table number, the table name. You can say patio, let's say PD private dining, 101 or private dining 1, right? And then you can say table type. There's a cool feature in GuestCenter where you can actually label what type of tables you want to be able to segment that table out for. So if this is like a counter table, regular table, high top table, bar, outdoor table, you can actually choose these 5 types. Unfortunately, we don't have any other tables outside of here. You can't customize, private dining room table or sushi counter or anything like that. Sushi bar or booth requested or booth tables. These are only 5 table types that we have currently, but you can actually segment it out. For this particular purpose, I'm going to treat that as a regular table because it's part of my private dining area. And then you can say this table can fit 2 to 4, or even say 3 to 4. I only want 3 people to fit on the 4 top as a minimum. I don't want anybody to book 2 tops on those tables. Okay, so you can make minimum, maximum. Maybe you can squeeze in 5 top. Maybe there's an end table and you can put in an extra chair on the side. So up to you guys want to do that. You can actually duplicate this, PTR2, duplicate it again. You can even highlight all 3 of them by just using the mouse, drag all around it, kind of like the shift button. We're actually highlighting all these tables, so I can select all of them and then hit duplicates, and it'll create 3 more. You can even do this too, highlight all of them, duplicate, and create 4. You can even delete it, take it all out. All right, you can even rotate this to make sure you have an angle if you want to kind of create a certain angle on the tables here. And then I had another table here, kind of like that. PD7, duplicate, boom. Okay, so you can create your special layout that you want to do. It's great because what I like to do is segment out your restaurant. So if you have one big layout with a lot of tables, let's say you have like 150 seats at your restaurant and you don't want every single seat to be displayed on one floor plan, then break it out. Maybe you have a special area like outdoor tables that you want to break out, and then you can label it that way. So breaking it out is a great way. Like patio area, these are all outdoor tables. So I created a section called patio, and I created a table type called patio. So that way we can use the patio section. And what's great about one of these table types is diners can actually can be able to select that table type. So when a diner books a reservation online or on your website, and they're booking it through the Open Table platform, they have the capability to choose a specific area of your restaurant. They won't know exactly which table they're selecting, but they know which table type that they would like to set. So you can quickly set expectations to your diners on how you want your tables to be segmented out. So when diners book a reservation, if they choose outdoors, they want outdoor, right? They really prefer an outdoor table, and it shows availability specifically for the outdoor inventory table. So it's actually looking for availability in the outdoor area. It's not looking at the table inside my dining room for availability. And if they don't like it, they can always change it back to a regular table and look for availability there. If they really wanted to dine in your restaurant and your outdoor patio is not open, they'll still be able to book a reservation for indoor dining. Okay. So that's how you set up a table. So you can actually do this. You can actually also take your master floor plan and make a copy of it by clicking the little pencil button next to the main master, hitting the copy feature, and that'll make a duplicate of that main floor plan. Maybe you want to use this for main weekend. Okay, and you hit enter. And then on the weekend, because we made a duplicate, this is a way to kind of quickly create a floor plan. If you have a minor change to your existing floor plan, right? Because you don't want to create it from scratch, then you have to create a bunch of all the tables, create all the table numbers, table types, all that stuff. So that just saves you time to kind of copy and paste. So we made a copy of the main floor plan called master, and we labeled it weekend. And then I'm going to go in there and say, maybe weekend, I don't want these tables here. I don't want my patio table here. I just want my a couple of few round tables here. I'm going to duplicate, right, on the weekends. 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. All right, these are my round tables that I have at my restaurant. Cool. Now you can orientate your actual floor plan. You can actually rotate it this way if you need to, because this will help out on the orientation of your floor plan when your host staff is looking at the iPad, and if they don't like the way it's faced on the iPad, you can rotate it here on the floor plan here section. You can also space it out. If you have something kind of like this, there's a big gap here, you can actually highlight all this stuff and actually space out horizontally to create a bigger, an even gap between all your tables. So that's the floor plan. Creating a floor plan, a new floor plan, duplicating a floor plan, duplicating tables, updating table types, and minimum, maximum table sizes in the table property section is all done here in this section here. And it's going to come into a play down the road under scheduling. All right. So the next feature over on the GuestCenter web, availability planning will be table combinations. This is where you go in there and create the number of tables that you push together to make bigger parties. Because right now the main weekend tables, the individual table that I have is a 6-top, table 7 and table 8. Now, what if I want an 8-top? I want people to book 8 tops. I want people to book, 10 tops and 12 tops. I do have capability for them to do it, but you got to tell a system that these tables, maybe these tables that you push together can actually make a combination of tables, right? So table 1 through 6, maybe your banquet tables. I want to create those as combos. I want to highlight all of them, or you can use the keyboard, hold the shift key, just kind of click one at a time. You can say all 6 of these can be pushed together by hitting the add button. That combination creates a table combo of 1 through 6 that can fit parties of 13 to 14, or for 13 to 16 if you want to increase it to a little bit more on that section. You can also look at the show suggested combinations here on the bottom. This will show you all the different tables that are adjacent to each other that you can push together. Can you push 1 to 2 together, 2 to 3 together, 3 to 4 together to make 4 tops? Yes, I can. So anything in between here, because these are banquet tables, I'm going to highlight all of them as all the, because these are only showing the adjacent tables. It's not showing table 2 and 5. It's showing 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those can be pushed together. These are all the combinations that we can push together to make bigger party sizes. So that'll help. So you can even say 13 here, 13 people, actually 12. 12. We got 13 already for all 6 tables. So we're actually creating combinations. So I created all these different combinations in there. So that way people can make reservations. If party of 7 wants to be booked, table 7 and 8 might not have it because these are 6 tops. Maybe these are 7 tops, we don't know. But if it's an 8 top that wants to be booked, maybe these won't work. An 8 top requires table 1, 2, 3, and 4 to make that happen. So these 4 tables will be taken for a party of 8. And then another 8 top will have to go in another area because these will not be available anymore unless it's a different time that they're looking for. So all that stuff come into play in terms of table combination. And this is where you create a combination of tables, right? You can go to every single one of your tables, not tables, every one of your floor plans here and select it to create those combinations for you. Maybe these two can be combined as a bigger table, an 18 top. Maybe I only want 14 to 18 people in this section here. Great, so we created one combination in here. You can delete it if you need to. If you don't like that combination, then that inventory won't be displayed for reservations. I would create as many combinations as you can, all the way up through to however many, even private dining room party combinations. Create those. That way your internal staff can be able to book bigger parties. So if a party of 20 wants to get booked, the system say, oh, hey, these two could be pushed together. Let me show you availability for those 20, that 20 top. So if you have that combination available, it'll show you. If not, you're gonna have to book it, enforce book it, and then attach it to the specific tables that you want to be able to assign it to. All right. So that's table combinations. I'm going to go into reservation setting here. That's the next step over. This is one basic section here that sets a certain party size as you consider a large party booking. I have it set at 8 or more. Maybe this is something that you want to set, maybe 10 or more, or 11 or more, whatever you want to set it at, that you consider is a table that's a large table. That maybe you need a special set menu, or it requires additional communication, or it requires 2 tables to be pushed together. Anything like that that you think that you consider as a party size or higher as a large party, then you want to make sure you set it up here. Another thing that gets called out is a host staff on the iPad under the shift notes. It'll get called out as how many large parties you have. So whatever settings here, if 8 or more is your large party setting, and however many large parties that you have that are 8 or more on your books, it's going to be tabulated inside the shift notes section to tell you, hey, you got 2 large parties booked today, and these are the large party customers listed. All right. One more thing in here that's going to be very important is going to be called out to your schedules. Is you have a flexibility of turning those online or offline based on this setting here. Okay, so let's go into the next section here, which is called schedules. And this is the big one. This is the one that's gonna definitely be something that you're gonna be using quite often, as well as special days, which is the next one after that. So this is your schedule. This is your normal schedule when you first enter it in. Your normal schedule is telling you every Sunday through Saturday, 7 days out of the week. Every week and every day of the week is going to follow this schedule. You're open for lunch Monday through Friday. When you click on that, and you're open for dinner Sunday through Thursday with this setting here. And then Friday you have a separate setting because it's hours of operation is a little bit longer. Dinner settings are a little bit longer as well. So you have a separate dinner shift setting for Saturday. Okay, if you want to create, let's say you decide to open up brunch for Saturday and Sunday, you want to create a brand new shift, right? Let's say you want to create a shift called Saturday brunch and Sunday brunch. You hit add, basically add 7 days out of the week. You can delete those shifts that are created. So I don't want to add 7-day shift. I just want to add a 2-day shift, right? Just for Saturday and Sunday. And then you can use this to drag the specific shift to 5 p.m. and maybe you're open at 9 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And we're going to label this not shift 1, we're going to label this brunch shift. Okay? Change the colors too if you wanted to. This will differentiate some of the look on here. So we have a brunch shift, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday and Sunday. And then this is the dining area you want to choose for those specific shifts that we have. Now, maybe you created a main weekend one, right? This could be the one that you want to use. So I'm not going to use a master one. So we have a main weekend one with those little round tables that we created earlier. So those are the weekend dinner shift tables, brunch shift tables that I want. You can even say weekend brunch too if you wanted to specifically label it correctly so you can identify which floor plan you want to use for those shifts. So every Sunday and Saturday now, I am going to have brunch and brunch shift available. Okay, now we can go in deeper and called shift settings. This dives into that shift to set your settings. Okay, there's 4 sections in here: time periods, table availability, turn times, turn controls, and flow controls. All 5 of these are very settings to kind of customize it to your specific likings for this particular shift. Time periods is a way to kind of break out your whole entire shift from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This again is an 8-hour shift. It's quite a bit of shift undertaking, right? So we want to make sure we break it out. A great way to break it out is like an early, mid, late shift, which breaks it into 3 different sub shifts within that brunch shift. Because what it does is it's saying, okay, man, my early shift could be 9 a.m. till 10:45, 10:30. And then my brunch shift kind of starts to peak up a little bit at 10:30 a.m. and then starts to dine out after 2:15 or after 2 o'clock. Okay, so we have 3 different periods here. Table availability, which is the next section down. Specify which tables take reservations. All right, so non-reservable table can still be accepted per walk-ins. So what this is telling me is, remember that we had set up a floor plan table type, like regular tables, high top tables, bar tables, and counter tables, where on the floor plan we can create a different segmentation for. This is an area where you can actually set your availabilities based on those 3 different subshifts now. So I have early periods, my regular tables, during my brunch time for Saturday and Sunday, my early periods between 9 a.m. to 10:30. And do I want those available for reservations? These seats here. These regular tables and combination of tables in my main dining room, which is 46 seats. Do I want those? Yes, I do. I do want those in mid shift too as well, and my late shift. So my regular tables, I want that available throughout my whole entire section. Now my high top tables, these could be, these high top tables next to the bar area. Is that used for first come first serve basis? If not, then you can say I'm going to take it all off as non-reservable. They can still be accepted for walk-ins. It's just taking it offline. So those tables are now not being used for reservation taking purposes. Okay, so that takes away those 8 seats. And then my bar seats, again, same thing. Maybe they're a first come first serve. They're just going to go at the bar, order what they want, and sit there if they like. But it doesn't require me to, it doesn't require those tables to be available online to book reservations. Counter tables, same thing. Large standalone tables. This is the setting that we saw earlier. The large parties. What do you consider as large party? So this is standalone tables are 8 or more. It breaks that out into a specific table type based on that setting. So do you want those large parties, standalone tables to be bookable? I have 16 of those, 16 seats. Okay, that means I think there's like maybe 2 8 tops or something like that. Do you want those as reservable? I don't mind having those reservable on the weekends. Brunch, you get a lot of bigger parties because families get together and all that stuff. Large combinations, so tables that you push together to make bigger parties. Do you want those as reservable? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want the combinations to be reservable because my combinations that are inside my dining room are the single 2 tops. I want the bigger ones to be bookable outside of my dining room. So those are the standalone tables that I want bookable. But the individual ones that are inside my restaurant, large combinations that we push together, those are all 2 tops. 2 tops are very popular during brunch time too as well, so I don't want those reservable. You can turn those off. You can even say add an exception. This exception button goes into specific tables that you want to take offline as non-reservable. Because it could be maybe a table inside my regular room my regular table that you have set up for reservable for all throughout any shifts. But if maybe there's 1 or 2 tables in there I don't want reservable, maybe this table 11 or table 13, I don't want reservable because it's a bad number, right? I'll take that offline. Maybe 13 is what you use for your VIP customers or anything like that. So you took that offline. So you can do exceptions. You can highlight a bunch of tables and then hit add, and then you can say, okay, I don't want those reservable. Table 2, 3, 4, and 5 as non-reservable. You can go to ellipsis area here and delete those if you need to. So exceptions will trump any of these settings here, okay? So it'll override it. So whatever you want to do, these are grouped into specific table types that you can turn on or off as availability, and then you can set your unique customized groups of tables that you want to turn on or off if you need to, or even individual tables. Okay. The next one, turn time, very important feature. This is going to set your going to set the number of parties that can be booked at your restaurant. Okay, guests is parties of 1. What do you think your turn time is for brunch time? Maybe it's an hour. They're going to stay. If you have bar seats available, that one person that books at a bar seat is going to have a turn time of 1 hour. So if it books at 9 a.m., then that table bar 1, B1, will be available to book at 10 a.m. and then 11 a.m. and so forth, or depending on when the next reservation is going to be booked. So this is going to set your this is going to set the number of turns that you can actually do based on party sizes of 1. Again, party sizes of 2, an hour, hour and 15, hour and 15, or hour and a half. Maybe you're a pretty quick service company here, and you want people to get out pretty quickly, and that way you can get more reservations in. This is going to help set your threshold for how long you set the block that table for. Okay, 2 hours maybe max. 2:15, maybe 12 or more, maybe we'll do 2.5 hours or something like that for bookings. All right, so that's turn time settings. Now there's a feature called flow control settings. This is something that's not necessarily need to be used. These are for restaurants that require to set the maximum amount of turns for each party size or even specific tables. These are for high demand restaurants. So if you're a restaurant that has are able, and you're such a busy restaurant because you get a high demand, maybe you just opened, right? There's a lot of hype at your restaurant. You can turn the table, you can turn your 2 tops 3 times between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. Okay, that's 4 hours. You can turn it 3 times. So you can set it to specifically turn 3 times, and it will not dynamically hinder you to limit the number of turns. So, because there are going to be times where, if you have a 4-hour time period for your shift and you book a reservation at 6:30, then essentially you can't turn it again if it's based on an hour and a half, or 6:15. If you book one at 6:15, then you can't turn it 4 times because you wanted to turn it a minimum of 4 times or something like that. So high demand restaurants to be able to force reservations to come in at certain time periods to give you maximized amount of turns for each table or party size that you have here. So that's turn controls. All right. And then flow control is a great way to kind of set up a specific maximum number of covers and party sizes. This is pacing your restaurant. So we have it set to pace your restaurant for early, mid, and late shift. This is the 3 separate sub shifts within your full shift at brunch. So maybe your early turn, you can take in 30 covers every 15 minutes, right? And mid time, maybe you want to do 20 covers every 15 minutes, and late is 30. You can even show all intervals and say, you know what, at 12 o'clock when it gets really busy, I only want 16 people to be booked maximum. 14, 12:30, 12. Again, if you set it to 12 here, that means 12 people can book. It could be 2 6 tops, or 6 2 tops, or 4 3 tops, right? Or 3 4 tops. Whatever hits that number is going to stop taking reservations at 12:30. Okay, so these are thresholds that you're putting and setting up, so that way you're not overbooking yourself at a specific time frame. You're pacing your restaurant because your kitchen staff maybe cannot take more than 20 during those peak times because it's going to be really busy, right? So you can set a certain amount of that. You can add specific party sizes You can say, you know what, at my early subshift, early peak, early time period, I only want 4 parties to be booked max. Mid party, 6, or let's say we're gonna do 8 here, and then we're gonna do 8, and then we're gonna do 6. Okay, 8, 6, 8. What does that mean? Total parties. So this means that at every 15 minutes, I only want 8 parties to be booked max, 8 total parties. So it's 30 is the total covers, meaning I only want 30 to be booked, because it could be 15 2 tops. We don't know, right? Or it could be 4, it could be 6 5 tops. We don't know, right? But 8, this limits it to 8 people, 8 parties. So that way you're not getting like all 2 tops that are 15 of them, right? So this will limit the amount of specific party sizes for total parties. Again, you can also set not only the total parties here, you can set individual parties of 1 to 2 to be booked. I only want 2 of these to be booked every 15 minutes during that time. I only want 2 tops max. Okay, and then you can also add party sizes here, 3 to 4. I only want 2 of those as well, 2 max. So that way you're not getting 3 4 tops, right? You can only force, that way we limit the amount of 4 tops to be booked, 3 to 4 tops to be booked, and then also a total of 8 party sizes. Whichever one hits first is going to automatically block. All right, this is the full setting. The total parties is the entire setting. This is also 2 parties, okay? And then you can even say, you know what, parties of 11 or more, I don't want any to be booked. 0. Yeah, it'll be fine. So whatever party you just set here is going to automatically trump it. So because you're telling the system you don't want any party sizes 11 or more to be booked at any time frame. All right, maybe you can just say 1 of these. Cool. All right. Now, if you don't specify the party sizes here, it's just going to automatically, it can take 5 to 6 tops. It can essentially take 6 of them, right? It could take 7 4 tops if they wanted to, because it's still underneath 30 covers. So this is a way to kind of limit the amount of parties to come in at a given time frame, because if you don't have it set this way, if you don't have these settings set up, it's just going to say 30 covers regardless of which party sizes it is. It could be 3 10 tops and you're done, right? And you can limit the number of 10 tops to be booked right there. 11 or more, a number of 10 tops to be booked. I only want 1 of those max. So that way I don't get 3 10 tops to be booked. Okay. So that's the party settings. Party pacing, flow pacing settings are individual in terms of total cover count, total party count, and an individual party size count limitations. Okay. And then you want to set save. Once I save it, then I have the settings. You can go into any of these specific shifts in your normal schedule, and you'll be able to set those up as well. Friday and Saturday dinner shift settings are unique, so you want to make sure you have the right dining area and the shift settings for those days. So those are very unique. Once you have it set, it's going to be very good, right, for the time being, until you have some changes within your business that's going to alter these settings, and you want to make sure you revisit this and try to update it according to what your business is, so it actually ties into it and it creates a good synergy between the settings that you have compared to your business that you're coming in. Okay. The next one over is called special days, and this one's unique because your schedules that you set here is going to be on a weekly and a daily basis. Follow the schedule every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. However, special days is a unique day. Those are like holidays or buyout dates, days that you have a special event that you're doing that you want to make sure you have a special setting for it. Thanksgiving, maybe you're closed, so you want to leave it as closed. If you're open, you want to open it up to make sure that you have the right schedule for setup. Maybe Thanksgiving is a popular area, you're right next to the mall and people love shopping and you're going to be busy because people need to eat when they're shopping, right? So you can open it up. Maybe Christmas Eve, you want to make sure you open, but then you don't want Christmas Eve to be open all the way through, because Tuesday is Christmas Eve. We generally open till We generally open till 9:30, but on this particular day, we're not going to have dinner open. We're going to delete it. We're going to open just for the lunch shift, and we're going to close at 5 p.m. and hit save. So we have Christmas Eve open for lunch, but not dinner. Typical Tuesday, I am open for dinner, but on this particular day, December 24th this year, I am not. So this helps you kind of set up your special days to make sure that you have these days set up. And I would definitely recommend to set up these days at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead of time. If you're a destination restaurant, I would suggest you guys to visit the special days and add these days as early as you can, right? Because if people are starting to book 2 months or 3 months out at your restaurant, then you want to make sure your schedules are your schedule and your special days are set up for those days as well. Okay, so special days, we have let's say you have a buyout day for November 13th. Buyout dates are very popular during the holiday season, so companies come in and say, I want to buy out your restaurant because I want to. We have a company party that we want to set up. You can say November 13th, we have a company party, buyout, IBM private party. Okay, and we have a dinner buyout, which we're going to do hit and delete that. Lunch is open. Okay, typically on this particular day, Wednesday, we are open, but on this particular day, buyout private party for IBM, we are closed for dinner time because of that buyout. If you bought out for the entire restaurant, very easy, just close it off and you don't even have a shift and hit save. Okay, that'll close it off for that particular day, November 13th. Any questions on special days? You can actually set up a certain layout and floor plan. Every one of these that you go into, if you're open, any one of these has a customized shift, and you can still do the shift settings too. Decide which dining area you want to use for this particular day, and then set up your shift settings for those days as well. Right? Time periods, availability of your table types, as well as individual tables or large party tables, and then set your turn times accordingly for that day. And then turn controls and flow controls could also be set up as well. Once you have these things set up, any of these 5 areas set up, it's all saved locally to the browser. You can close the browser and then come back and revisit it, no problem. It's going to be saved as long as you hit the save button, right? You hit save, then you'll be able to do it. I don't believe any of these settings, these 3 floor plan, table combinations, and reservation settings, anything you do here automatically saves. If you create an update on the shift settings, you have to make sure you hit the save button here to save it. If you hit cancel, it won't. So if you actually update here and says non-reservable, you want to make sure you hit save. Okay, special days as well. When you're creating a brand new special day, you want to hit the save button. Now it's saving it locally to the browser, but it's not actually publishing it to the server. So that's where the last step comes in. When you're ready to push all these changes to the server to reflect what you have on the iPad, reflect what you have availability online, reflect on your website's booking availability, that's where publish comes in. And as soon as you publish it, and you'll see it say success. It may take a minute depending on your internet connectivity. Mine's pretty fast, so it's going to take probably up to like 5 or 6 seconds. Boom, it says successful. Your restaurant setup is complete. Diners now ready, reservations online. You can return back to here at any time to update your settings. And then you'll see a date published too as well. It's been a pleasure. 1:43 p.m. If you want to know who published it, it's based on whoever's logged in to it. There is no audit on who actually did the changes. If you really want to know like which user was used, you can call our support team to kind of figure out who actually published it. But it doesn't have an audit of what it's been changed, who changed it, and all that stuff. So giving somebody access to this area here is very important. If they're not a really good user or not a very sharp user of OpenTable GuestCenter, and you give them access to set up your schedules and special days, and that reflects what's available online and available, make sure you limit their access time. All right, there is an actual area here on the bottom left-hand corner under account section, and this is where you create your access types, and you can set If you give them all access, that means they can get into everything. If you just give them front of the house, that means they can only use the iPad and whatever the front of the house you can use on the Guest Center web. So anybody that limits the number of what you can do here, these are the customized areas where you can set up your certain access types, and then look at your directory of all users in your restaurant. Okay. You don't want to give everybody all access, because if they shouldn't be messing around with availability planning, then they shouldn't get access to it. Because if you do happen to lay them off or fire them, if they still have access, they can access it on their desktop and mess around with your books, and that could actually hinder your business quite a bit. So you want to make sure that you have your access levels and the users required to make changes to your system. All right. Any questions on all the stuff that we talked about today on availability planning? A question came in: if you want to block a certain party size or more to be offline, is this something we do in this setting here? You can do it in here, but if you wanted to set up a kind of like a setting that you don't want anybody to book reservations for parties of 12 or more at any day or any time, and you want to set it to tell the open table to set it, regardless of what you do here, you can do it. Just call our 1-800 open table support number and say, can I set a threshold of parties of 13 or more, nothing to be booked online, anything 12 or more I can book on in-house, regardless of what you do here. So if you create a bunch of combinations that go up to party of 20, it won't get booked, because we have a top level setting on the open table side to kind of block off any party sizes or more. But again, diners, if they search for a party of 12 or 13 or whatever threshold you set, your restaurant won't be on the list to be booked. So if you can take a phone reservation on the phone, no reason for it to be not bookable online, because it just make it a lot easier for them to book and make it convenient. Again, you can always call back those customers to talk to them after you've captured that reservation. So good idea to actually make it open, available, and then tone it down if you need to, if you think this is a problem. Any other questions? In the meantime, if you ever visit our website, support.opentable.com, this is a great URL to bookmark. We have a bunch of articles in there. Anything new that's coming up on Open Table. There's an area that's like, what's new on Open Table? A lot of stuff under support. You can also call 1-800 Open Table. I'm sure you've called this number, 673-6822, 24/7 support. All Open Table employees that answer the phone call. And then also our YouTube channel, youtube.com, Open Table. We have a lot of videos in there. Open Table training. Subscribe to this channel. You'll get notifications anytime a new video comes out. We are always building new videos for people to watch. But again, practicing it is best to be hands-on. Great initial training session for your employees will be just to watch the videos on Open Table training. And there's a playlist of all Guest Center features to kind of play and watch. And then going into a webinar too, if you like this, to ask questions. And then, take a certification test. We do have certifications in here at certifications. Once you've mastered Open Table, you can take a test and see if you pass, and then you can print out a certification to bring back to your manager to make sure that you did this test and you passed, and you are now official Open Table certified user. It's on support too. Support website at support.opentable.com has the certifications videos, as well as the sign up of these webinars as well. All right, I don't see any other questions coming through, so we're just about like 4 minutes over now. Thank you for staying overboard. I appreciate you guys' time spent with us. Come back in about a few months and sign up again. You might see some new features that are coming out, and we'll definitely be going over it. But a lot of stuff has happened. We generally get about 1-2 updates a month on some of the stuff that you're seeing on, especially on iPad, as well as GuestCenter Web. Generally, web users on what we talked about here will be updated automatically without you trying to update the app. But yeah, thank you very much. And I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.